Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brian. This is going to be the start of a series of developer log videos, essentially logging my solo development of the game Undergrowth. Undergrowth is a 2D action side-scroller type game. It focuses more on the elements of action such that you'd find in a game like Ninja Gaiden or Doom. So the game's been in development for a few months now. It started in August 2020. This first episode is going to cover the very first projectile attack that I had to implement. What's important about the first time you implement something is that you have to implement it in a way that's reusable and scalable in the future. So the next time that I need to implement a projectile attack, we want to pre-build as much of that functionality as possible so that later on we can simply plug in some numbers, put in some animations, and boom, we have an attack. We don't need to think too much about coding too much of it. So just a little disclaimer here, the audio on my live feed is not great because I was using my headset mic and it picks up a lot of garbage noise. And I mean, I'm a YouTuber, all right? This is my first video. Give me a break. But going forward, the audio will be much better on the live feed. All right, enjoy. So at this point, where I'm starting off is I already have a launcher programmed. Essentially, what it does is it calculates the distance and it calculates the force and the angle that a projectile will need to be launched at given the distance that it needs to travel. So, for example, you got your character might be 3 meters away. The launcher responsible for shooting that projectile needs to know how much force it should apply to the projectile and what angle it should apply it to hit that target, because almost everything in this game is going to be free physics, so we're not going to be doing any artificial movement by just lerping an item across the screen. So we actually have to do those physics calculations live so that the projectile takes the correct arc. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically just testing out, making sure everything's working. I have the launch button set to a debug key. It's probably like R or something, and I'm just making sure that the actual launch is working correctly. The next thing that I'm going to want to do, essentially creating an infrastructure for the enemy to access this launcher on its own and decide when it's going to launch and what it's going to launch at. And by the way, just going forward, this guy down below is previous me when I was live developing, and right here I will appear if I have any commentary to add. So this is an enemy. Sorry, that's really fun. So this is an enemy that there'll be a lot of. It's kind of a trash enemy. So I'm thinking it'll be a slow projectile. Now we have to make a way for the enemy class to call upon that projectile and shoot it whenever it feels like shooting it.
Good God. Okay. This is gonna be complicated. I think we'll leave it at there for now. Switch over to the game view. Now let's go ahead and make a projectile. Attack, launcher, attack state. So now I can set this attack as a projectile. Perfect. I want to assign my launcher and assign my projectile, which I have not created yet. I'm going to make it a child of the attack object. Launcher. Bloop. So yeah, so we got to put the script on here, projectile, and this is not supposed to be called launcher, it's supposed to be called projectile. Bloop. Want to assign the launcher, assign the projectile, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate the projectile and just use it to make copies. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Alright. Next thing I need to do, when this attack, when a launcher attack happens, launch the projectile. Right. Okay. First, we need a way for the launcher to shoot our specified projectile. Let's open up that class. So this code right here launches the projectile. Let's attach an entity to the projectile. Entity, add component. Entity, which also needs a rigid body and a collider. We need an immune checkbox on entity. I see. Huh. Entity. Faction.faction. Faction.faction name faction. Okay. Faction.faction name faction. Faction.faction name faction. I don't need this here at all. Don't need to set a faction. Faction.faction name faction. Faction.faction name faction. Bloop 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 bloop. Bloop 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 bloop. This is tough.
So to give some context on this, Undergrowth it may be a 2D game, but I plan to have interactable backgrounds and even for the character to be able to move to a plane on the background, like a separate plane on the background, and be able to, you know, continue traversing. So since the game is based off a 2D engine, I needed a way to essentially have you be able to be running around in the background and not collide with things in the foreground. Because as far as the physics engine is concerned, there is no z-axis. It's only x and y. So if two things line up like this, they're still going to collide even though one's farther away. So early on in development, I have to make sure that anything that I do that involves collision takes this into account and correctly implements that collision in a way that will cooperate with the system that I made for kind of bypassing collision if things are not on the same plane. So you'll hear me say the term z-plane. That's essentially what I call that system.
We set the z-plane, right? We don't need this z-plane anymore. It would just be owner.
I was going to handle the z-plane collision directly on the projectile, but I decided to let that be inherited by the entity. It's just going to be way too much to keep track of if I have to set z-plane settings on every single thing that's collidable. So if it's used by an entity, it should just inherit the properties from that entity. I'm saying entity like you know what I'm talking about. An entity essentially just represents, usually it's a character, an NPC, or the player. It could also represent interactable objects and things like that.
Let's get this thing firing. I just have to make sure that projectiles are not eligible targets for when an AI is looking around for what to attack. That's very important. Oh god. Okay. Client. The client. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at the client. And cool. So I'm gonna add let's see, e.immune, not e.immune. Cool. So that will make sure that AI entities don't try to chase down projectiles. Perfect. And other immune targets, which is useful. Like you don't want AIs chasing immune targets. It's fine if they already have that thing targeted and it becomes immune, then they can keep chasing it. I'm fine with that. But when they're looking for a new target, I don't want them to zero in on an immune entity. Let's see if it just breaks. Let's try to play it and see if it breaks. Oh, okay. Something broke. First of all, it's hitting the ground, which it's not supposed to. Attack state, attack box. Have to make that a trigger. That'll fix that. And we have a null pointer exception. Let's fix this. Calculate velocity. Excellent. Okay, so this is on our launcher. Right, because I'm going to comment this out. This is the line I was using to debug, but that's trying to launch something every frame. We don't want that. Okay. All right, so let's just deal with all of these null pointers. Attack box now. Doesn't have an attack state. Oh, it does have an attack state. Okay. Current attack. Ba-boom. Cool. Cool. We don't need rigid body. Perfect. Cool. So we're just we're plugging in all the pieces here. Cool. See what other errors we get. Null reference. Attack box. All right. So this is expected. The attack box is looking for a current attack to be using. We have an assigned one, so we'll do that when the projectile spawns. Dot swing. Cool. Attack box. Dot detect enemy. Do we get a line? It's not going to tell us what line that error is at. Oh, 71. Attack 71. A state. Oh, have to assign the attack state. Hitbox. Boom. 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 That should solve some issues. Perfect. Okay. Alright. No errors. So now, we can actually develop. I'm going to take a break.
So the next morning, the first thing I had to do was feed my dog breakfast, which ended up not being the easiest task. So enjoy this little intermission.
Grizzlemaw has an ear infection. Because of that, he needs to take these antibiotic pills. The problem is he knows exactly what they are and how to avoid them. Grizzy has become skeptical of the meat, so I needed to start feeding him meat without pills in order to gain back his trust. The hope is that eventually, he'll trust the meat enough to scarf it down rather than feeling for the pill and spitting it out like a watermelon seed. Okay, I think it's time to try the pills again.
Okay, good morning. So last night we coded the projectile attack itself, which is going to be a spike that's being shot from the enemy. Today, I have to link that attack up with the enemy so that he can actually use it. So I have to put it into the AI so he can call upon that attack to use it. But before I do that, I have to animate the new attack. So there's going to be a projectile, obviously, that shoots out, but he needs an animation of shooting the projectile. Now, this is going to be a spine that, like, ejects from his back, so I need him to, like, whooshing. So here we go. Let's open up spine. Rootworm, no, worm tooth. Okay. Something's going on with the filtering. Why is it filtered like that? Files. Graphics. None. Ah, there we go. Linear filtering. Viewport. Okay. Sweet. Alright, it's pixel art again, everyone. Amazing. So now, the animation part. Okay, so this is his bite attack right now. So we're going to whop-om, whop-om. We're just going to create a brand new one from the idle pose. So we want, he's going to like lean forward. Boom. Bada boom. Let's do a wind up first. Okay, so his wind up is going to be like, he's going to crouch down. He's going to go like, So, crouch down. Alright, we're getting a little bit of leg wiggle here. Let's just fix that up. So he's crouching down, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this as the return point for the overstretch. You always want an overshoot in animation. So in this case, he's got his attack, his point of attack is when he's in this pose. But I want him to overshoot that and then bounce back a little bit. We want him to overshoot. This will give a feeling of momentum. It's okay if his limbs stretch to unnatural lengths during this portion because it's only going to last a split second. So it's actually kind of good if the limbs stretch. Alright, another break. Alright, I'm finally back. Okay, I think that's fine to start out. Dang, I'm tired. I'm tired. I need a monster or something, dude. Jeez. So essentially what's going on right now is, since this is a new type of attack where it shoots a projectile instead of just doing damage in melee range, there's some code that has to be changed. And I'm not exactly sure like which code I should change. The animation method is what is in charge of doing the stuff when the attack happens, so I'm probably going to start there. So let's go to coding mode. Here we go, here we go. And warm up. This is where our swing starts. What we're saying is, instead of activating the hitbox to attack, I'm just going to shoot the projectile instead. Okay. So it'll be current attack dot launcher. Perfect. Perfect. This means that we can have a different launcher for different attacks if that's something that we need down the line. Because player projectiles are probably going to be aimed manually. We have a whole auto-aiming method that we have to implement. I mean, not implement, but take advantage of. Okay. Alright. That's when we get to player attacks. That's not yet.
So what you're witnessing here is a brain melt. It can get really overwhelming when you're coding a game by yourself. And it's quite a large scope game. And a lot of pieces have to fit together. So when you're coding a certain part of it and you're trying to kind of reconcile all the future and past pieces that have to fit together with this, it can get a little overwhelming. And I think it's pretty late in this clip, and I'm starting to just lose my mental faculties. So I mean, this is part of the job. This is part of the art. This is part of This happens from time to time. It stinks, but gotta persevere. And sometimes you just need to take a break.
Oh my god. Oh, exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. Okay. Focusing. Hey, Grizzy. Come here. Say hi to everyone. Say hi to everyone. Grizzy, come here. Say hi. Yeah, you took your pills. I actually got him to take his pills. What I did was I made a pot pie, and when I got almost done with it, I mixed the pills in with the chickeny cream broth at the bottom, and he licked them up. He didn't even know they were there. Outsmarted you, buddy. Maybe next time you'll win. Look at this. Look what I found. Look at his fur. Are you kidding me? I don't know. I don't even remember. I don't even know what that's from. That must have been when he was eating the pot pie. I guess he didn't eat this one, but he got the other two pills, so it's better than nothing, I guess. He's got his stuffed animal. He's chilling. He's chilling, just having a grand old time, you know. Anyways, back to work. I'm nervous to run this code, man. I'm nervous. I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay, I didn't export my animation. Gotta export it. Oh right, we have to set up the events. Let me just do that real quick. Looks good to me. So he's doing the attack. Alright, gotta stop attacking. So he's doing the attack, but he's not launching. Oh, because we didn't actually call the method. Gotta call the method. It's not doing anything. He's trying. Oh, right. We have to click auto aim. Hey! Oh! It works! Oh, praise be! Oh my god. I can't believe that worked on the first time. Alright, he's shooting him. So, yeah. Alright, game's done. Call it a day. Griz, let's ship it. Let's ship it. It's done. No, obviously, just kidding. But now what we have to do is, if you look, I'll pause it. You can see how the projectile, it's like looking forward. It's perfectly horizontal throughout the whole trajectory. We want it to follow the arc. Okay, so I have to implement some code that will make it turn to face the velocity vector. So simple enough. We'll go into code mode here for you. Fingers crossed. I think that should be all the code I need to do that. Hey! Okay, it works. If I turn him around, does it work? Yes, it freaking does. It does. Look at him! Look at him go! Look at him go! That's crazy talk. It works, man. It friggin' works. I need to make him a little bigger. Since this is pixel art, not really gonna want to just scale it up in game. Kind of have to make a new sprite because it's pixel art. We want most of the pixels to be the same size as each other. So I'm gonna go to Photoshop. It's a little phallic. Maybe we go pointier. It's okay if it's uneven too, since it's a biological spike. It doesn't have to be like machined and perfect. Change it to Sprite 2D and UI. Apply. take off that bilinear filtering. Nobody likes you. All right, try that. Huh! Look at that! Look at that! It does damage! Ah! It's amazing! We can assign a sound to that Spike's attack. And then we'll have some fun. We'll have some fun. I'll show you some fun in a second here. So perfect. Now I'm getting hit. So these projectiles are not meant to be like a huge threat. They're kind of something that you'll have to manage if you're, multitasking. You're fighting another enemy and you've got this guy in the back line. It's something he can do in the back line. Since it's a side scroller game, he can't crowd around you. You can only have one enemy on either side of you. So enemies that are behind those enemies, they have to have something to do while they're back there. So this is one of those things that it can do. It can shoot you from far away. And, these are going to be pretty common enemies, so we don't want too much of a threatening attack from far away because there's going to be a lot of them. But you'll see this big, slow projectile. But yeah, I'm really happy. Let's see it. Let's block it. Blocking works too. How about that? See, that's why you put as much effort as possible into your game early on, creating these systems so that later on you can just plug and play. Like, that's great. That I didn't program blocking projectiles, but since projectiles work off of the system I already had implemented for attacks, I can block them. Pretty cool. Now, let's have some fun. Here's just like I like just plugging in random numbers to my variables. So if we go to that projectile's attack and we, let's say, apply force to self on hit, and we'll say up. How much force do we want to apply to this thing? Let's just go with 10. Let's see what happens. Watch this. It should bounce off. Okay, it didn't do anything. Why didn't that do anything? Hang on. That actually should work. So I'm gonna try to fix whatever is wrong with that. Ah, here we go. Here's the problem, ladies and gents. On my projectile's attack state, he has shoot Spike as current attack. I don't know how that's not throwing any errors, but that's not right. It needs its own attack. Hit move force, 20. Target move force, we're going to say 0. And let's see what happens. Okay, so what's going on here? Let me see if I can pause it. Alright, what's going on here is I'm applying force up. So I'm applying force up to the projectile when it hits its enemy. But since the projectile is tilted, up to the projectile is like straight ahead. So that's actually a flaw in the code because up is supposed to mean up. Well, let's see how this behaves now. It should be fun looking. Hey! So it bounces off my head now. That's the intended behavior. Let's turn that force down a little bit. Now it kind of just like boink, boink. That's fun. Again, systems, I created this system to be able to apply force to the entity that's attacking and the target that it's attacking. And, this works for projectiles too because they are entities as well. So, fun stuff. Yeah, I think we're done here. It works. So, the next thing that I have to do, probably going to do this off camera, is continue developing the AI so that it's more of a finished product. And then we're going to get into some more fun stuff, making more enemies. My goal right now is to have a fully playable combat demo, which is actually as far as I got in my prototype. But this time around, we're doing things a lot better. Things are looking a lot better. I haven't showed you guys yet, but the combat feels really good. You may have seen me attack the enemy a couple times, but I'll get more into that later on. I'm really happy with how the attack feel is coming along in this game. It's really exactly what I've intended for it. Thank you guys for watching. Big shout out to Unity for making their dark theme on their editor free. Before the free version, you had to look at this blinding white editor. So I'm like, thank you Unity for giving us dark theme. That's awesome. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. That was a bro fist. I guess I'll do it like this. Whoosh. Okay. See you guys.